Supergiant Games has been delivering people stellar games for over 10 years now. Games virtually indistinguishable from AAA titles in terms of polish and mechanics. All made by a team that's credits can fit on one screen. Every single aspect of their work is deserving of praise, but an aspect that I feel could always use a little bit more love is their art and art direction. And their second game, Transistor, shows this perfectly. Transistor is an odd game, with an even odder pair of influences, the first of which is super clear: Cyberpunk. Which, in case you didn't know, is a genre that has its roots in old noir detective films, but updates them with a sci-fi story and theme. It's home to stuff like Blade Runner, Altered Carbon, and plenty more that I can't think of right now. Cyberpunk stories are crammed full of neon colors, big but dark cities, and femme fatales, who are usually chased around by a dude in a trench coat. Transistor, on the other hand, passes that trench coat of protagonism to Red, a singer who'd typically be the femme fatale in another story, but in this one, has to throw around the male love interest as he's trapped in a giant glowing sword, along with her voice. Like I said, it's pretty weird. Other than that one change, it almost completely follows the hallmarks of cyberpunk stories and visuals, but that is not a bad thing at all. By using visuals that fit well within the cyberpunk genre, it helps the player identify what kind of story it's going to be. For example, just by looking at this one moment at the very beginning of the game, most players will have a solid guess on how the story's gonna go. That other influence, however, isn't as immediately apparent. Common from the 1800s to around 1910, a style known as Art Nouveau was quite popular. It commonly took inspiration from organic as well as geometric forms and used long, flowing lines usually depicting vines or stems. And this style is hidden all over Transistor. But why? Why take influence from a weirdly plant-obsessed, century-old style that was made to bring more appreciation to the applied arts to use in a sci-fi game? Well, first of all, by taking these two very different visual styles and merging them, Gen Z and her team were able to create an aesthetic unique to the world of Transistor. And by juxtaposing a retro and futuristic style, it gives Transistor this hard-to-pin-down atmosphere in both time and place, where you can end up fighting a girl with a turn-of-the-20th century wardrobe as she's slowly being corrupted into a robot. Speaking of that, the process, an army of rogue robots that attack you all throughout the game, have a specific element from a Nouveau artist in their design to really help sell their point in the narrative. Just by looking at Gustav Klimt's work, it's clear that it had an influence on the game's art. And that's super clever. Klimt's use of repetitive patterns has a sort of mechanical feeling to it. And using it in conjunction with the cyberpunk world really helps merge the two styles together. But more specifically, by using the repetitive pattern in the process, as well as a red-eye motif, which always reads as evil thanks to how, it once again helps to tell the player, not but 10 minutes into the game, that the process are watching, growing fast, and bad for the people of Cloudbank. And those are just a few examples. All throughout the game, they are giving visual information to help the player. If the game was like Red and turned mute, it'd still be understandable on a basic level thanks to constant visual information. along with the occasional terminal acting as a clever way to create dialogue. Which is really good, because Transistor is not a game that spells out its story completely. It's definitely meant to be dived into and played multiple times to really understand. So by also giving information visually and often clearly, it really helps the player orient themselves in their first and perhaps only playthrough. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. If you didn't already know, I'm Levi, and this is my first video, but I plan to make so many more. I already have a few in the works. So if you're interested in supporting me, you can check out my Patreon, which should be somewhere on screen, but otherwise, if you want to see more of my stuff, I'm at Levi A. Mead on all platforms. Once again, thank you. Bye!